During a rally in Texas last night, former President Donald Trump not only teased a presidential run in the 2024 election, but says that he would consider pardoning those who were charged in connection with the deadly January 6th attack on the Capitol if he wins the White House again.
Now, his comments seem to echo a growing sentiment among some Republicans that the rioters should be forgiven.
If I run and if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. We will treat them fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly.
CNN chief media correspondent and anchor of Reliable Sources, Brian Stelter, with us now. Stelter, so good to see you. You know, there was something that was interesting that stood out to me in this, because at one point he said, quote, "I'm trying to save the USA, which is in the worst condition and position that I believe it has ever been in." When he paints the U.S. like that, there are a lot of people right now who do feel that after this pandemic. They're fatigued and there's so much uncertainty. But how does he get from there to pardoning people who assaulted the Capitol?
It shows how, you know, both Trump and some portion of the GOP has really devolved when it comes to January 6th, all the way to the point where it is the rioters who are behind bars who are being treated unfairly or being wronged and who must be saved. That is a complete narrative shift from a year ago, and it speaks to how the Overton window can be moved, where Trump is moving it to a more extreme vision where the people who ransacked the Capitol and who in some cases committed felonies, but many, many misdemeanors, are the ones who are actually innocent and need to be saved. I also think that rhetoric speaks to every time Trump calls into a right-wing talk show, he gets asked, "Are you running for president? Are you running for president?" Let's dispense with that. Clearly, he is going to run. Or at least at the present day, he wants us all to believe he's running. He gets up there and talks just like a presidential candidate. He is very much in this until he's not. And I think what we heard last night was a lot of fear and concern about the investigations into his businesses and into his conduct. The investigations in New York and Georgia. There was a palpable concern that he has about these investigations, which may propel him even more to enter the race, because if he's running as a candidate, he can say it's all political. I thought that was the big takeaway from his rally, how concerned he is about these probes.
I found it shocking, Brian, that he called these investigators racist, as if they were pursuing him because he's white. I think we have a portion of the speech. Let's listen to that now.
If these radical, vicious, racist prosecutors do anything wrong or illegal, I hope we are going to have in this country the biggest protest we have ever had in Washington, D.C., in New York, in Atlanta, and elsewhere, because our country and our elections are corrupt. They're corrupt. I'm trying to save the USA, which is in the worst condition and position that I believe it has ever been in.
He's directly challenging the rule of law, a legitimate investigation, and he's emboldening the very people that tried to undo the results of the 2020 election. This is incredibly dangerous.
It's January 5th all over again. Remember January 5th when Trump was telling his fans to come to the Capitol for a Save America rally? He wasn't telling them to go up to the Capitol and try to attack lawmakers. He was just telling them to come to a protest. That's exactly where we are again now. What happened in 2020 and 2021 was a slow-motion coup. Now we have this slow-motion erosion of the rule of law. And if you say to yourself, well, he's out of office, he's a loser, he lost the presidency, he doesn't matter. I'll tell you why I think he does matter. His speeches are aired live on Newsmax and other channels. They reach millions of people. In fact, last week, when Newsmax aired, 2 weekends ago, when they aired one of these rallies, highest rated program on cable that day, on cable news. So there is an audience for this. It's not as big as it used to be, but there is a base that wants to hear this from Trump, that wants to be animated, and that may well listen to him when he says, if I'm wronged, protest for me. We know in Trump speak that means if they find me guilty or if they find any evidence, right? We know that's what he means, and he's already saying it every day. Seems to me it's January 5th all over again.
So we all know what happened the last time there were huge protests. It resulted in a bloody insurrection at the Capitol. What is going on here?
He doesn't want to take responsibility for what happened on January 6th.
I mean, not just that. I mean, he's running on it. He is running for
He's running. I mean,
re-election.
throughout last year, Republicans were having trouble talking about January 6th, figuring it out, and now just gone full on embracing it, which, you know, I guess we should have expected. However, I do wonder if this works. There's also something else at play. There's a lot of investigations going on about dealing with the president and dealing with all of the people around the president. So this sounds like a very defensive crouch.
And this is just classic Trump. I mean,
Yes.
There's something that's such an obvious liability to him that everybody sees, his responsibility, his role in the riot that happened that day that led to death. Police officers died as a result of this. Some because of suicide, that was PTSD that was linked to it. Brian Sicknick, the officer, died in the immediate aftermath of what happened on January 6th. He was, without a doubt, had played a major role, if not directly responsible to what happened. Now he's trying to make it, in some ways, him and his people being a victim. This is how Donald Trump has always run, tried to become the victim himself and somehow make that a political asset. Now, does that actually work? That's another question.
And just so people are aware of what's going on here, in the upside-down world that we are in here, the president's supporters are actually mad at him because he hasn't paid for the defense of some of these January 6th insurrectionists. So he is offering pardons. Instead, really just an unbelievable statement about where things are right now with Trump's base.
Yeah, I don't suspect they'll stay mad at him for long, right? I mean, if we think that Donald Trump is not going to win the Republican nomination because he didn't pay the legal bills of some of his associates, like, I'm not going to make that prediction here, but I don't suspect that's what he's going to lose the nomination for if he does. To me, the big headlines here is it's so obvious that Donald Trump is running. It's so, like, none of us should be surprised. And it's also obvious that we're going to have so many different turns of this story between now and 2024.